Sekali lagi, bagi peserta yang belum mengganti display name-nya, bisa tolong diganti ya, jadi self-branding _ nama kalian masing-masing. To all the participants who haven't changed their display name yet, please change your display name to self-branding _ your name. Thank you.
Gak mau mulai.
Bagi teman-teman yang belum mengganti display name-nya, boleh tolong diganti menjadi self-branding _ nama kalian masing-masing ya. To all participants who haven't changed their display name yet, please change your display name to self-branding _ your name. Thank you. Kepada semua peserta yang belum mengganti nama displaynya, bisa tolong diganti menjadi self-branding underscore nama kalian masing-masing ya. Tolong diganti. To all participants who haven't changed their display name yet, please change your name to self-branding underscore your name. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to inform you that this webinar will be started at 1:15 sharp because we're still waiting for other participants and also the dean of this faculty to enter this Zoom room. Thank you. Pada semua peserta, webinar ini akan dimulai pada pukul 1 lewat 15 menit. Harap tunggu sebentar karena kami masih menunggu kehadiran dekan fakultas kami yang memasuki ruangan Zoom ini. Terima kasih.
Button calling.
Iya, kecil.
All right, seems like all participants are already here, and I think it's already time to. And now I would like to get this webinar started. Hello, good afternoon everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. How are you all today? I hope everyone here is doing fine, healthy, safe, and of course, stay at home. I believe that all of you here come from different places. I don't know about the situation over there, but me myself, I come from Batam. It is a small city in Indonesia. And I would like to be honest that the whole COVID-19 situation here is actually not really good. And I sincerely hope that everything will get better soon so that all of us can go back to our normal activities. So please don't ever forget to wear your mask and always wash your hands. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Amalia Farah. You can call me Amal. I am here as your moderator today. I am a rising second-year student of Faculty of Law in Universitas Brawijaya, Indonesia. I am also a part of the committees of International Law Student Association, or you can call it ILSA, chapter Universitas Brawijaya, who is holding this event right now. Well, maybe as you can see that I am actually quite nervous because this is my first time being a moderator. So please bear with me. I will look out for your care. I suppose that all of you here have already received the rules of procedures that we have sent you through our WhatsApp groups. So I hope that everyone have already read it. But if you haven't, please read it because it is really important. Second of all, I would like to admit that this is such a big honor for me to become a moderator with you guys here in this amazing event, because this event is a really big opportunity for all of us to keep improving ourselves by not going anywhere, just staying at home. All right, I would like to tell you too that this webinar is also going live in our YouTube channel. So maybe the part of participants are not joining in this Zoom because they are watching this webinar through our YouTube Live. And before we get right into the main of this agenda, I would like to enlighten you guys a little bit about the topic that we're going to have today so that everyone here will not be confused or feel lost when the speakers are explaining their topics. So most of us college students probably are facing the same struggles because we keep wondering, what are we going to do after we graduate from college? We keep worrying about whether we're going to get a job, or we keep thinking, if we want to get a job, then what do we have to do? What do we have to prepare? And we keep asking, what kind of person are they looking for? Or am I enough? Will I fit to their job position? So today, in these amazing opportunities, I would like to share the most wanted questions with you guys. So please stay until the end and do not miss out. The next will be, we will hear some welcoming remarks from our committees who have been working so hard on this project until this very day. So right now, I would like to present to you our beloved project officer who has been leading this project until the first day to this day. He is Mr. Jordi Rizaldo. Please, I present you your time to deliver your opening remarks.
Thank you, Moderator, for the change. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. First of all, let us give thanks to our Almighty God, because by His blessing and by His grace, today we can still be gathering here through these Zoom media meetings, even in the middle of this pandemic situation. And then, with our utmost respect, we would like to give some welcome to our both amazing and honorable speaker, Mr. Brawijaya and Mr. Auzan Shaidi Abdulate. It is really great to see them here and join us today. And also, we would like to welcoming all of the participants who already joined this webinar. It is very great to see you guys, to see all of you here. And thank you for all of your enthusiasm and all your participation. Eventually, this event can't be complete without all of your participation. And then, before going further, let me introduce myself. Hello everyone, my name is Jordi Rizaldo, and today I present as a project officer of this event and as a representative of all the committees who are organizing this event. And so, the main topic that we will discuss on this webinar today is about self-branding. And further, our discussion will lead us to some conclusion about how self-branding will help us to pursue our future career, especially as a reputable legal practitioner. Even though the participant of this webinar is from various educational background and knowledge, but still we believe that this webinar will give us some of important knowledge, because in the end, it's not just a career in law who needs a good skills of self-branding, but also there's so many various aspects about career that also need good skills of self-branding. And I guess that's the reason why we're here today. So I guess that's all from me. And once again, I really want to say thank you very much for all the participants who already joined this webinar. I hope you all always in a healthy condition, and I wish the best of luck for all of you. And I guess now we'll hand it over again to Miss Amalia Farah as our moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jordi Rizaldo, for your warm remarks. I would like to say my grateful to you because you have been leading us so that this project can be succeed until this very day. And the next committee who's going to deliver his welcoming words is our beloved president of International Law Student Association, Universitas Brawijaya. He is the one who has supported us in any kind of way he can, and also he has been giving us his strength and keep believing that we can hold this event today. He is Mr. Taurik Nasrun. Mr. Taurik Nasrun, I give you the time to deliver your opening remarks.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Taurik, as the president of ILSA Chapter Universitas Brawijaya, and I would like to say welcome and also good afternoon for everyone, and welcome to this webinar. First and foremost, I would like to thank 4 significant people in this event. First of all, I would like to thank our respected faculty members who are, I think they are here, who have attended and also tirelessly support us in all of our activities in ILSA Chapter UB. And secondly, I would like to welcome and also thank the both outstanding speakers, Mr. Abdulate and also Mr. Wijaya, that respectively are from Malaysia and also Indonesia. They will share knowledge on self-branding. Thirdly, I would thank Jordi and friends, External Affairs, who have tirelessly and very inspiringly organized this event that would support us and give us knowledge in this great afternoon. And lastly, I would thank the I think it was 400-ish on the participant numbers, but I guess they are on YouTube Live. So I would like also to thank you on the participants. Looking at the quantity and also the diversity of people who are attending in this event, on the participants symbolizes, even if the world is facing this this pandemic, it didn't affect humans' enthusiasm on the pursuit of knowledge. And in this case, a knowledge is about self-branding. Well, I think myself personally that self-branding is an important aspect, is very paramount to learn in this golden age of information, of the free flow of information, especially by the medium of internet. It is some way a branding you can do yourself, and as also a representation you show in the public's eye, let's say an intro of who you are, right? This shows this knowledge is not exclusive to law students. It's not exclusively to law students, but is also important and also good for people as a whole, right? Because we want to get our careers up and to improve it in a way of self-branding. Because of that, External Affairs has recognized the significance of self-branding and will not ignore of it, because it is detrimental to ignore it. So I think that is enough for me. I hope everyone will be having a good time in this insightful webinar. I think that is all. thank you again. Good afternoon. Amal, take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Torik, for your kind words. It really helps us in so many ways. I really appreciate your helps for all this time. And then the last but not least, I would like to present to you the last but the most honorable person in this webinar. He is our faculty, he is the Dean of our faculty, Mr. Ali Safaat, SH. Please, Mr. Ali Safaat, you can now deliver your opening remarks. Mr. Ali, are you there? All right, I think because he is not here yet, maybe he has some other important things to do. I think we just move on to our next agenda. All right. Now here it is, we're finally here at our main reason for all of you coming here today, the thing that we've been waiting for so long. But first, before that, I would like to remind you guys that we will be accepting questions from this webinar Zoom meeting. You can always ask your questions and send it through the chat box below this Zoom meeting room. But all questions will be answered right after the discussion session is over. So it means that we will be having a Q&A session. So just please wait for a little while. All right, now let's just get this webinar started. Let's welcome our first speaker. He is Mr. Wijaya, LLB SH. He is an associate at Christian Theo and Partners and also a co-founder of Journalist X Lawyer podcast. It is available in Spotify. You guys can check that out later because his podcast is amazing. So without any further ado, let's just welcome him, Mr. Wijaya.
Hi everyone. So is my voice clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, loud and clear. Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for the welcoming remarks from ILSA Brawijaya chapter. I'm very grateful that I can speak on personal branding today, and I hope that this presentation will benefit everyone, regardless of whatever legal career that or any career that you want to pursue. So for this webinar, I've prepared a PowerPoint slides. It's not very long, but I hope it will summarize all of the things that I want to speak today. And so before I start my presentation, yeah, I would love to present to you who am I, and can you the committee go to the next slide? Yes. Okay, so for today, I'm going to tell you who am I, where did I study, and where I'm working now. And I'll move on to what is personal branding, and why do I believe that personal branding is vital for my career, and which platform do I use to improve my personal branding. And finally, how did I brand myself as a lawyer? Next. So I was born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia. I come from a minority background. I am a Chinese Indonesian. My parents are both Hakka and Hokkien. They come from the Bangka Island, the Bangka Belitung Islands. And I'm the first in the family to study law and work in the legal sector. Most of my family members, they usually go to business school, or they work in the IT or construction or sales, marketing, but no one is working in the legal sector. So I don't know. I'm just a different one in the family. And as for my language skills, I speak Bahasa Indonesia, fluent in English, and I also have a good knowledge of the local Bangka dialect. Because I used to study in Netherlands, and I used to go to a French course in Jakarta. I know some Dutch and French. And finally, I think Mandarin is increasingly becoming important, no matter what sector you're in, because China is dominating almost in any industry. So that's why I started to learn Mandarin. And right now I'm working as an associate at Christian Dion Partners. I'm now an advocate and member of PRADI, the Indonesian Advocates Association. I was sworn in last month at the High Court of Jakarta. And apart from my work, I'm also active in organizations. And one of them is the Dewan Pimpinan Wilayah Ikatan Pemuda Tionghoa Indonesia Provinsi DKI Jakarta. So it's a Chinese Indonesian youth association. And I'm the chairman in Jakarta. And I'm also a podcaster at Qna Session, which is available on Spotify. Next. So this is my education background. I went to school in Jakarta, Kansas College, Jakarta. So I come from a science background, although it is, usually recommended that people or students studying social sciences taking up law. But then I decided, yeah, why not? Because I think it doesn't matter whether you come from the IPS or IPA, doesn't really matter. As long as you have the determination to study law and practice law, there's no problem. And as for my Bachelor of Laws, I didn't go to an Indonesian law school at first. So I went to the Netherlands or Holland. So I got my LLB in International and European Law from the University of Groningen. It's the northernmost province in the Netherlands. Second oldest university after Leiden. And during my studies in Groningen, I got the chance to go for an Erasmus exchange. I picked University of Warsaw in Poland. And I was the only Indonesian studying, or at that time, in the faculty of law. And finally, I also obtained another law degree, which is the Sarjana Hukum from Universitas Pelita Harapan in Karawaci. And as for my informal education, I studied Dutch, the language, at Erasmus Taalcentrum Jakarta, and the language center in the University of Groningen. I also studied French. I finished, I think it was up until B2 level, according to the CFR, at the Institut Français d'Indonésie in Salemba, but now they moved to Tamrin. And I also was very interested in fintech, so I took a course online via edX. It was offered by the Hong Kong University. And finally, I also obtained a special education for advocates from PRADI. Next. So this is my work experience. In 2013, after I graduated from Holland, I went to Cambodia for 3 months. I interned at the United Nations. It's a hybrid court, basically. They have prosecutors, judges, lawyers coming from all over the world. So it's a court, a local court in Cambodia, but they get assistance from the United Nations to prosecute the war criminals from the 75 to 79, genocide or massacre happening under Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge. And afterwards, after I graduated from UPH, or before I graduated from UPH, I interned at a law firm in Jakarta called Armani Absunto Muharram and Partners. This law firm is very well known for the banking and finance practice. So when I was in AYMP, I was very active in banking sector. And I also, for a month, I joined Lawyer Indo. It's a company under Budijaya International Lawyers. So I assisted some of the arbitration cases there. And not long after I was employed at Lawyer Indo, I joined AXET right before my graduation at UPH. In AXET, I was very active in fintech, peer-to-peer lending, multi-finance, insurance, also administrative law or tata usaha negara. and many other general corporate matters. And right now I'm working at Christianity and Partners. To get to know Christianity and Partners, probably you can check Chamber's website, because we are very well known in mining, real estate, and fintech. So next. So this is personal branding to me. Why is personal branding important, right? It's an easy question, because as lawyers, we have to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the pack. There are so many lawyers being sworn in every year. There are so many law students graduating every year. And also we have competition from Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Korea. They're all coming here, although they practice as foreign counsel. But then we have to upskill ourselves, right? Otherwise, many of our positions, especially in corporate matter, will be taken up if we're not very, if we're not very useful or not as skillful as foreign lawyers, then yeah, law firms or companies, they prefer to have foreign counsels. Doesn't matter. So the first thing is to differentiate myself from the rest of the pack, because there are so many lawyers out there. And second, finding my true passion. So personal branding really boils down to what is your passion. So for example, I like anything that relates to fintech, for example, or personal data protection. Let's say these two are the main areas of law that I'm very interested in. So I need to find or I need to focus my personal branding to these two areas, to these two key areas. Doesn't mean that I only know these two areas of law, but then to differentiate myself from the rest of the pack, I need to be branded as a lawyer who's specializing in something. And that's why right now I'm specializing in data protection and fintech. Okay, so the third point is charting my own path. Personal branding means personal, so you can't really copy someone else's career or someone else's interest, passion. No, you need to have your own personal path. So you define your own path. You don't need to follow anyone. You can have an example. You have a role model. It's fine, but then you have your own touch to your personal branding. So that's my point in charting my own path. And the last but not least is excelling in areas I find interesting. So this relates to the second point and also the third point, right? So I need to excel in these areas that I find interesting. So when I want to be known as a lawyer who's knowledgeable about fintech and personal data protection, I need to excel. Otherwise, again, coming back to the first point, then I'll be, indistinguishable from the rest of the pack, right? So I need to be excellent in these areas so that I'll be differentiated from the rest of the pack. Next. So what are the benefits of personal branding to lawyers? Firstly, visibility. Probably many of you know that I'm very active on LinkedIn, also Instagram, and also WhatsApp. Actually, I am very active in many WhatsApp groups, groups for lawyers, groups for my organizations, and personal chats, right? Private chats. So visibility is important. You need to be known by many people, as many as possible. But if you have your own audience, that's even better. For example, if you're a law student, you want to be visible for your future employers, then you need to target your content, for example, on LinkedIn to target these employers. You need to show them, you need to showcase your skills or your achievements and make sure that they really open your posts or they give you comments or they like your post. Right? And second point is dependence. Dependence means that people can rely on me that, again, if I brand myself as a personal data protection lawyer, I want them to depend on me for these matters. So when somebody thinks of personal data protection, they'll think of me. So they'll depend on my knowledge on personal data protection law. And thirdly, trust. Again, after you depend on someone, then you gain trust, right? So after I make sure that I'm trustworthy, I can provide them with the legal advice that they need regarding the personal data protection law, for example. Then they'll trust me and my legal work, and finally we come to the quality, right? Because they already trust you, they depend on you, then you will be regarded as a lawyer that has some quality compared to other lawyers out there. Next. So what platforms can you use to self-brand, personal brand yourself? So firstly, LinkedIn. It's one of the best actually. Although initially LinkedIn was created to, for job seekers, but nowadays LinkedIn is increasingly becoming more like Facebook, I would say. Many people post very personal stuff, or they post videos. So LinkedIn is number one for me. So you need to be active on LinkedIn if you want to be visible. And Instagram. Why Instagram? Because especially in Indonesia, people like to post stories and feeds, right? It's a different audience, really. With LinkedIn, you can reach a greater number of audience. Maybe some foreigners will also see your posts. But then on Instagram, it's very limited to people who already know you, or if you're very well known, if you're a YouTuber or you're a content creator, basically, people know you from something else, then it's different. So the way you get your audience is different. And people need to add you, or people need to tag you on Instagram so that they will know you exist, right? Thirdly, YouTube. If you like to make videos, fine. Or you post your podcast in a video format in YouTube, and then you post your podcast on Anchor or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That's also possible. Newspapers, you can write articles, send them to newspapers, the Jakarta Post, Kompas, whatever newspaper that you can send your articles to. Journals, law journals. There are so many law journals here in Indonesia. Some of the best, probably, I would say the journals from UI, from Unpad, UPH. Of course, I think Brawijaya also has a journal, right? So you can send your articles to Brawijaya own student run journal. And websites, you can have your own website, or if you don't have a very good website, you can use Wix. That's one example, Wix. And I'm not sure if people still use WordPress, but I think it's still useful. Or you can write on medium.com, right? And webinars. Exactly like this moment, right? I'm in front of you guys talking about personal branding in a webinar attended by so many people, many students, many stakeholders. I think that's also one of the things that we need to take into account these days because of the pandemic. We cannot really meet in person, so make use of webinars. But I would say pick your webinars very wisely, because there are so many webinars and you have limited time. So you have to choose these webinars wisely to showcase that you're a lawyer or a law student that is, has some quality. So you don't really show yourself in certain webinars that you think it's not worth it. And last but not least, organizations. So you need to be active outside of your work. Or if you're still law student, then you need to be active outside of your classroom, your virtual classroom, right? this is very important because after you graduate, many people will only know you as a student. But then if you don't hold any position outside, apart from becoming a student, then people will not really see you as someone they will rely on, or they will look up high. They don't really care if you don't hold any position. For example, if you're a president of ILSA chapter of Brawijaya, or you're a secretary in some organizations, or you're very active in social work and you hold the chairman position, that's very good. That's what I did, and I'll tell you more about that in the next slide. Next. So these are some of the points. It's quite a lot actually, but I'll try to keep it short. So firstly, be as active as possible during university. So be as active here means that in Indonesia we always say don't be a kupu-kupu, kuliah pulang, kuliah pulang. So you need to be active, meaning that you have to join competitions, you have to do many things apart from studying, apart from doing normal student life, So you need to be active. I'll go to my second point. Join more than one type of competition, and winning is not the ultimate goal. For example, I joined MUN, although I'm not a IR student. I joined writing competition, although the topic is not about law. I also joined Moot Court, Willem Vis, and IHL, ICRC, because that's what law students do. So I went to Hong Kong to represent UPH in the Vis competition. And I think, apart from mooding and writing and MUN, I also joined the business law competition held by UI. And in these competitions held by UI, the business law competition, I failed miserably. But then again, winning is not the ultimate goal. So the goal here is to expand your knowledge and to expand your network. I think MUN is one of the best examples to expand your network outside of the legal sector, because once you graduate, you will realize that your clients mostly are not law graduates, but business people or any other person not studying law, because they will ask for your legal advice. Thirdly, write. This is one of the key skills to have as a law student and as a lawyer. We need to write a large amount actually, and we need to write every day, writing emails, writing chats on WhatsApp to our clients. And yeah, writing is very important, and please write as many articles as you can during university. Send them to newspapers, upload them on your website. Yeah, because it will own your skills when you become a lawyer later. And join more than one organization. For example, I joined the Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa at UPH. I became the head of Insight and Reasoning Department. And apart from BEM, I also joined Ikatan Pemuda Tionghoa Indonesia. When I was still at UPH, I was just a member. And I also joined ISAFIS. ISAFIS is a Indonesian Student Association for International Studies. So it's association mainly for IR students, but I also joined that organization. One of the most famous alumni is Fadli Zon. So, but that's not the reason why I joined this organization. I'm just saying that, the more organizations that you join, you can meet so many people. Sometimes they have inspiring alumni, and probably after you graduated from these organizations, you'll get to know some of the famous alumni later on, maybe during their reunions. So that's one of the perks, right, of joining more than one organization. And so I'll move on to producing a podcast. So these days you can't really get out and hold a webinar, a seminar, or hold a meeting in person. So I think producing the podcast, it's a good platform to disseminate your ideas or your knowledge, legal knowledge. It's very easy to produce podcasts. You just need to use, for example, a Zoom call or Skype call, record, then just put the recording on Anchor, and yeah, that's basically it. Producing podcasts. But then I would suggest you to invite a speaker, guest speaker, because if you speak, if you don't have a guest speaker, it will be less interesting. Let's say. And next, network on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. So be active on LinkedIn. It's not just your online CV, but make use of LinkedIn. Post good content and your achievements on LinkedIn and other social media. Become a speaker in a webinar. Again, in a webinar, so many people will attend, and you're expected to add value because probably people value your experience or your knowledge. So once you become a speaker in a webinar, make use of it and make sure you brand yourself as someone who's knowledgeable in the topic. And among all of these things, please, if you're still studying at universities, don't forget to get good grades, because when you apply for jobs, people will obviously, the HR will see your GPA, and well, many people say that you don't need good GPAs to work in the prominent law firms. That's fine if you have other things to highlight. For example, if you join more than 3 moot court competitions, or you're the son of someone, for example, and but the point is, a good grade is one of uh, the elements that the law firms or companies will see before they ask you to join the law firms or companies. And last but not least, please do internships. You can do it in any institution, governmental institution, or NGO, or like what I did. I went to Cambodia to get an interesting internship at the court, or you can, of course, go to law firms, companies. As if they have internships, just do it, and don't worry about the salary, because what matters is the experience and the network that you build, what you have with the partners, with associates. That's what matters. Next. Yes. So yeah, before I conclude, please feel free to add me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, my WhatsApp, my email, and please have a listen on my podcast if you're interested on law and journalism. And yeah, I hope to receive questions after this, after thousands session. And if you don't have the chance to post any question, please feel free to contact me on these platforms. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for Mr. Glenn for the amazing explanation about self-branding. As we can see that Mr. Glenn has so many experiences, and it shows that he is such a determined person, and he always gives his best at what he likes, and that is why I admire him. Uh, before I move on to the next session, I would like to briefly give conclusions about what he has explained to us. The first, that Mr. Glenn encouraged us to be different and also to be original. And also he said that we have so many platforms that we can use to do self-branding, such as YouTube and also LinkedIn. LinkedIn and also podcast. And also we can do self-branding in so many ways, such as joining so many organizations and also competitions. And do not forget to keep up the good marks at our classes, and also do some job internships. Before I move on to the next session, Mr. Glenn, I think I have something to ask you. May I ask some questions?
Yes.
Okay. A few days ago, I have listened to one of the episodes of your podcast, and to be honest, it really excited me because there's one thing that I would like to ask that is related to this topic. If I'm not mistaken, it was in the first or the second episodes of the first season. You were talking about when we are in the middle of an interview with an interviewer. You say that when the interviewer asks you some questions that we do not know the answer, it is better if we do not answer carelessly. I honestly do not know how to, what is it? I'm confused as to how should I do at that time if I do not know how to answer the questions given by the interviewer. Should I just stay silent, or should I admit that I don't know how to answer the questions given by the interviewer?
It really depends. If there are so many types of interviews. For example, at one of my interviews with a law firm that I applied to, I was supposed to give a presentation about something, and then the partners will sit in front of me, all of them, and they'll ask me questions. If the questions relate to my presentation and I don't know the answer, that will be embarrassing. But if the questions don't relate to my background and my presentation, really it again depends on a case by case basis. Is it something that is too personal for you, or it's something that you're supposed to know? For example, if they ask about company law, or for example, the most usual stuff is perbuatan melawan hukum, tort, or one prestasi, breach of contract. These kinds of things, when you don't know how to answer, or if you don't really remember correctly or the exact word, just use, you just improvise. But in case you don't really know the answer and you're expected to know, then I would suggest you try to divert their attention by, you don't say you don't know about the stuff, but then you try to talk. Don't stay silent, but keep going on and just divert their attention to something else that you're very good at. I think that will really show that, okay, I have deficiency in some areas of law, but then wait a minute, I am very knowledgeable in fintech, data protection, principal lending, whatever. So you showcase your good attributes and not hide, but just like divert their attention from these these areas that you're lacking.
All right, thank
I
you very much,
think
Mr.
that
Glenn.
will be my answer. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. It was really helpful because I was really curious about that. Thank you. And before we move on to the next speaker, I think we are, and we have some of the committees from our faculty because he hasn't have any chance to deliver his opening remarks. I think that this is a great time for him to welcome this webinar. So, Mr. Setiawan Nurjaya Sakti, please, the time is yours to deliver your opening remarks. Dipersilakan kepada Pak Sakti untuk memberikan sambutan.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, would you please forgive me because I come late to join this program. Why? Because I have so many to do since the morning until now. So I come late joining this program.
It's okay, Mr. Sakti.
In spite of this, many people have holiday, but especially for today, I have so many to do. That is why today in this meeting, I come late. So, would you please forgive me to that to this problem? That I feel very happy because ILSA, International Law Students Association, held a program, held a webinar that the theme of this program is ILSA Legal Career, International Law Students Association Legal Career. I believe that this topic is very, very interesting, very, very important, and will be very useful for the students in future, because in this program all of the speaker will tell about this experience during they do in each of their job. So I would like to thank for the speaker, such as Mr. Qna Wijaya, LLB, Sarjana Hukum, that would like to give a speech in this program. Thank you very much. And also, I thanks also for other speakers that would like to give the speech in this program. Now, and also I would like to thanks to the committee, especially the students who join ILSA, International Law Students Association, that has made so many preparations that this program can be conducted. And also, I feel very happy that the participants of this program is very, very many people, many students who would like to be the participants in this programs that not only come from Brawijaya University, but also from other universities. And finally, I think my speech is enough. And then if it is possible, I would like to declare, in spite of the first speaker has spoken, but I would like to declare that this webinar ILSA Legal Career is open. I think it's enough. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Sakti, for your warm welcoming. We really appreciate your guide and also your permission for us to hold this event. And so, without any further ado, because we have already heard our first speaker, Mr. Qna Wijaya, who has explained to us about what is self-branding and also why is it important for us, and also what does it mean for him. And now it is the time for our second speaker to deliver his presentations about a little bit deeper about self-branding. Now let's just welcome Mr. Auzan Syahidi Abdul Lateh, LLB LLM. He is a Malaysian. He is a head Group Legal Compliance and Risk Management Division at Damansara Realty Berhad, and also a co-founder or managing partner of Novice Arbitration Moot Court Competition, or you can call it NAMCO. maybe for you guys who have been joining this competition before, you have already known him beforehand. So without any further ado, let's just welcome him, Mr. Auzan. The time is yours.
All right, thanks, Amal. Can everyone hear me clearly and crystal clear? Can I have a thumbs up for that? You guys can hear me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Auzan Shaidi, as presented and explained by Amal just now. Thank you, Amal, for the introduction. You guys can call me Auzan or Ojan. Let's just be casual here. Just some inventories. I think let's have a two-way and interactive way of a conversation. Throughout my discussion, my presentation, if anyone has any question, you can just interrupt and ask me right away. So let's have that interactive moment with everyone here. I think, and also first and foremost, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank ILSA, Universitas Brawijaya, for inviting me to this session. I said yes right after I was approached whether I wanted to deliver this keynote address on the self-branding. And also, I think everyone has heard about Glenn's presentation just now, which was very accurate, very concise on how do we equip ourselves as a student and how this will be a good preparation for us en route to be in a legal career, which is the reality after this, the reality check. So a brief introduction about myself. Auzan Shaidi Abdul Latif. I'm currently spearheading the Group Legal Compliance and Risk Management Division at a public listed company in Malaysia, Damansar Realty Berhad. I'm entering my 4th year at the company. Initially, I only have planned to stay for 1 year, but the environment is very well and I'm enjoying my job scope as well as whatever I'm doing now. So hence the 4th year. And as also introduced by Amal just now, I also co-founded an international mooting competition based in Malaysia. I think we have received participation from numerous universities from Indonesia last year, which is called Novice Arbitration Mooting Competition, or more fondly known as NAMCO. Next. Just a brief, a short description about myself. Let's not deal too much about me. It's pretty boring, actually. I'm 30 years old, based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. That's my current position at my current year. I graduated from UiTM Shah Alam, Malaysia, in both Bachelor of Legal Studies and Bachelor of Laws, the LLB. And I also pursued my master's degree in the University of Manchester in public international law. I have some small achievements that my team has made thus far. When we were decorated as the best construction and real estate in-house team of the year for 3 years in a row, 2018 until 2020. And yeah, as mentioned, I also co-founded and head the NAMCO Management LLP, as well as the organization of Novice Arbitration Mooting Competition, in which I like to take this chance to promote a little bit about this year's NAMCO. Next slide, please. So yeah, everyone been asking us whether is there going to be NAMCO this year? The answer is definitely yes. We're going to hold NAMCO virtually this year. So we are extending our invitation to all participants across the globe, from the Southeast Asia region, the Europe region, as well as in the Americas. So the registration is still open. We haven't closed the registration yet. We are still finalizing our system, our platform, and our dates. So to all participants of this webinar today, do extend. I hereby extend my invitation to everyone to participate in eNAMCO 2020, which will take place in Q4, sometimes in October or November this year. Will be announced soon. So I think that's enough about myself or what I am currently doing. So I think we should now proceed to the reason why everyone is here, if I may. I'll pursue the next slide. So I'll demarcate my session today into two, which is on the science and the art of self-branding. I think I'm going to supplement what Glenn has mentioned just now, which is, as I said, very accurate, very concise. So I'll be focusing on preparing yourself in entering the legal world. So on the part one, we'll be on the science of self-branding, in which I believe that everyone been asking, what do I prepare? What do I do? Or how do I prepare myself? And I think Amal just now has actually elucidated a very good question, which is, am I enough or am I good enough? So that's the very question that I aim to answer by the end of my session, which is a very good connotation, Amal. I'll deal across the line on am I good enough and am I enough? So on the first part, which is on the science of self-branding, so we've heard about legal career being very difficult, very tough, very complicated. But is it really complicated? So the answer lies on you, on whether you are prepared to actually enter the real world. Because some of my colleagues or my friends even say that actually the real world is harder than studies. And some also say studies was actually harder than the real world. So it depends on how you articulate or how you actually deal with the chapters of your life. So I think where I'm going is that self-branding actually complements your achievement. Self-branding should supplement your achievement. So it should not be the paramount benchmark that, oh, as long as I have self-branding, I can excel out there. So let's not forget your academic records and achievement as well. Yeah, let's not forget on how you actually deal with people, how you actually talk to people. Self-branding or personal branding in this context is actually the idea of presenting yourself to the real world and to also obtain recognition and acceptance of who you really are. So the science is that be yourself. As what Glenn said, you have just to be yourself. But the art of the science of being yourself is that there are certain things that you still have to gather, have to obtain, and have to equip yourself from time to time. So in short, it is a kind of a system, a methodology that you have to learn from time to time. That's why I will move forward to my next slide on the stages of self-branding. Next, please. So it goes on, how do we prepare ourselves? So I'll divide the stages of self-branding into three, which is the first one is on the preparatory course, which is how do you prepare yourself to actually enter the legal career? This will tie back to Amal's very early question, like, am I good enough? So the answer to whether you are good enough is that, are you prepared? Are you prepared to enter the real world, the legal career? So these are among the salient things that I managed to capture what you have to really prepare. On the first stage, on the preparatory course, the very first thing that you have to really provide is that your resume. The resume is the Quran or the Bible of who you really are. So the articulation of information have to be very accurate, have to be very relevant. So firstly, do entail what is your strength. Second, do include only relevant information in the resume, especially ones that are effective and efficient to where you are applying for. For example, if you're applying a work at a restaurant, would the skills that you can do IT work relevant? So it might be not. So the relevant information, if you're applying for a position as a chef, is that you can cook, you can do good plating on the table, and etc., etc. So here comes, in the context of legal career, it goes back to what Glenn said. To brand yourself from the very beginning, which is in your studies chapter, to join, to participate in numerous activities, which I believe every law schools worldwide do provide a spectrum of activities, a spectrum of chance for you to participate. I think, for example, there's a model United Nations that is very active and very popular nowadays, We have mooting competitions, and we also have organization skills, which is those who actually join organizations, clubs. It can be music clubs, it can be law clubs. Those management skill is very essential, very crucial, because this will show that you're a systematic person, that you are exposed to managing and administering your life and also activities that you will be focusing and dealing in the future. And to also prepare yourself, besides than your resume, make sure that it looks good, because every interviewer would want to see a good resume, an interesting one. So be different. Do not send a plain one, just black and white with only words. You can do some infographics, some images as well. That would actually a good notion of self-branding, because an interesting and a unique resume would also show the kind of person you are, that you are attractive, you're fun, you're easygoing, you are friendly. So that is actually the mirror, the very first step in branding yourself, your resume. Do remember, that is your Quran, your Bible, your dictionary for the entire your career life, regardless in legal career or any kind of career. Secondly, this is one thing that I noticed a lot of people have been lacking on, which is on the appearance side. So I think it is normal. Most of the legal career chances are to be legal practitioners, lawyers, in-house counsels, and also legal affairs related positions at ministries or at embassies. Appearance is that how do you prepare yourself in two things: on how you communicate, on how you converse, and secondly, on how you appear based on your attire. So you don't want to be seen wearing shorts or a very worn out jeans or slacks to an interview or just a meetup. So you want to be corporately correct. Why do I say corporately correct is that I have encountered an interviewee who came unprepared. Very messy, hair was long, bad breath, and also the attire was so out. So that is how you actually brand yourself, on how you appear. It is not wrong to suit up for one day, to attend to an interview, and just be nice, be corporately correct in your attire. And the sub point to that is on how you converse, because this shows the very essence of self-branding. Remember, everyone, is to be confident. Without confidence, you can't do anything. It is as simple as to order a food, a bakso, for example, at a restaurant. If you don't have enough confidence to order food from the chef or the cashier, you can't order the food that you wanted to eat. So it goes that you have aim, you have objective in your life, but you are very shy, you are not confident. How do you attain or achieve that particular objective in your life when you yourself are not confident with your very true self? So in short, your appearance matter, on how you converse, be nice, be polite, have good manners, and of course, attire does matter. If I may share from the perspective of an interviewer, I personally do care on how one's appear during interview as well as during office hours. So that matters. There's a very essence of preparatory self-branding. And last, we shall deal with the interview skills, which will also relate back to my earlier point on the conversation. So I think this is the very least problem or concern for almost all law students, to speak, to appear confident, and to converse with your interviewer. So I think this is one thing that you guys can practice even at law schools, to have your friends, to talk to your friends, or even to talk to your lecturers or your tutors even. So the one tip that I have is that interview is a normal conversation. It is get to know each other face or time. So be nice. So have the manners, have the matters as well. Because in interview, the only one thing that the interviewer wants to see is how you carry yourself. Because if you want to ask about your academic results, about how did you excel at law schools, we already have those. So I don't want to be knowing those things that are already written in your resume. So I want to know your skills, how you converse to people. So to go back to my earlier point, in order to have a good conversation, be confident. So how I practice is that I'll just waking up early in the morning and just look in the mirror. I think this is very basic. I think everyone has heard about this. Talk to the mirror. I even talk to my cats. It's how you actually gain your confidence. And at some point, I did talk to my refrigerators at home. Just that I don't care who my audience is, as long as I can talk to you, as long as I can be confident, I am prepared. I am prepared. So moving on to that, the second stage of self-branding will be on the hands-on mechanism that you have to equip. For example, on the attitude part is how you present yourself. It goes back to your social skills, your soft skills, in terms of that, how you converse to other people, how you communicate. And communication goes back to the key of conversation. You don't talk alone. So you have to connect with the people in front of you and have a decent two-way conversation, because only then you can know the other person who's sitting next to you, in front of you. And that's the only way the person who sits in front of you can know you. So be genuine, be true, just yeah, I think I super agree with what Glenn said. Just be yourself, be authentic, but with boundaries. So you have to know your boundaries, the do's and the don'ts, that what you can talk and what you cannot talk. So let's say in the idea of attending an interview. So what interviewer would want to consider is that, can you talk? Everyone can talk, but can you converse and communicate? Whether you allow the quorum in that interview to ask questions. And of course, it goes to the next point, do listen. Listen first. You don't have to rush to answer a certain particular question given by the interviewer. Listen, understand, and you can take 5 seconds. And then, Mr. Something, 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 I believe, blah, 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 blah. And that goes back to the choice of word. So this is very interesting that I always talk to my colleagues and also to the candidates of my interviews that we conducted. The choice of word, that when people ask your opinion, I do believe that the choice of think, T-H-I-N-K, is a weak word, because that clearly shows that you're not sure, you are uncertain. So that's why you say, oh, I think the weather is very hot because there's a climate change. But just imagine what kind of an impact it would give to the interviewer when you just choose another kind of word, which is believe, B-E-L-I-V-E. Mr. Blah, 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 I believe the weather is hot because we are currently encountering climate change globally. So that would give an additional point to you. So that's another tip that I can give on how you actually personally brand yourself. So through hands-on, there are 2 key points. Number 1, communication goes 2-way. And number 2, the choice of word when you attend an interview or you communicate. So the last point for the last stage of self-branding will be on the maintenance. So I think, I believe everyone will agree with me. Maintaining or sustaining something that you have achieved is very difficult than attaining it. For example, let's say I won an award. So to win an award is one challenge, one obstacle, but to maintain winning the same award the following year is actually more challenging. So that's why in the idea of self-branding, personal branding, maintaining what you have prepared during preparatory stage and hands-on stage is very crucial, because this goes to the 3 ideas: to track record, your learning curve, and recognition. Dealing with track record is very interesting because people want to recognize you based on what you have done, what you have achieved. So this goes to you knowing your really good self, your strength in what you can achieve. Because obviously people want to know you because of good reasons, because you don't want people to actually notice you and tease you because of wrong reasons, that, oh, he has bad breath, or he's very messy at work, or he can't even do his work. So you don't want that kind of track record. So in terms of self-branding at workplaces, in legal career, for example, you want someone to recognize you based on your track record, what you have done and what you can do. So this goes to the idea of the learning curve. Remember, learning phase in our life is limitless. There's no such thing that, oh, I've learned something, I'm done, I'm good enough. No, never believe in someone who says so to you. It is limitless. Always learn good things, always learn new things, because it's not wrong for you to learn new things. For example, we are all law grads. I think the one things that we really hate must be calculator, mathematics, and figures. I think I can vouch that most law students hate these three things. Math, for example, we hate numbers and figures. So those are also the things that my stigma when I entered a legal career. I'm not going to deal with any accounting, any numbers, or any figures anymore. But from time to time, I realized that in order to self-brand myself, to be more equipped, to be better than other normal in-house counsels, you have to learn on the business and commercial perspective. You have to learn accounting. You have to learn numbers and figures. This is what I meant by learning curve. Just learn whatever that can make you a better person, because learning curve is limitless. Because this is why you can actually sustain and maintain your self-branding from time to time to be recognized for the right reasons, not because you did something wrong. And speaking about doing something wrong, this is also things that I always speak and converse with my team members. When I think most millennials, I think everyone here mostly are millennials. The Gen Ys, the millennials are very afraid to make mistakes. No one is perfect. Are you perfect? Am I perfect? No, I've never thought of myself as a perfect human being. Make mistakes. I mean, okay, I'm not encouraging people to make mistakes, but do not be afraid with making mistakes, with making faults, because only from this, you can actually learn what you can do right, but do not make the same mistake again. So this is the idea of maintaining the self-branding to your colleagues, even as law students, to your peers and to your lecturers. You learn from your mistake and you don't repeat it, and you just learn and be a better person. So that would conclude my first segment of self-branding, which is on the self-prospect, that it is basically the strength that you have, the embodiment that you have to acquire, to embrace, or in short, it is about your internal skills, what you have to do in order to be a better person. There's no bad person in this world. There's a good person and a better person. Self-branding is just a supplementary thing. It's a complementary idea to make you as a better person. So that's the first part of my self-branding part, just on the stages. So I think if everyone is clear and there's no question, may I proceed? Amal, do we have any questions before I proceed to my next segment?
For me, I think you can move on because it is really clear to me, but I don't know if there's any participants who would like to ask something.
I think, oh yeah, I do notice there's one from SKM Semarang. I have a question to Auzan, myself. Amal, may I read it?
Oh, if you would like to, yes.
Yeah. Can I just deal with the question now, since we are on the topic? Do you mind?
Yes, of course.
All right.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind.
No worries. So the question goes, how to maintain knowledge in law? Do you read book or anything like every day? Interesting question. So I think from the perspective of a law student first. So as a law student, you are required to actually read every day. Your legal cases, your legal books, even your reference books. I have to admit my mistake during my law school in Malaysia. Okay, I apologize in advance to my lecturers in Malaysia. I was pretty not hardworking, pretty lazy to read legal cases and full cases. I think I'll just jump straight away to the decision part. so that I can just gauge the principle and answer it in exam papers. But I noticed the difference when I pursued my master's degree in Manchester. Without reading, without knowledge in law, you will just be an ordinary person. You won't be a better person. So in short, in response to SKM Semarang's question on how do we gain knowledge in law. So two things. From the perspective as a law student, do read a lot, and it does not you shall not impede your spectrum of reading to just legal books or legal cases. Do follow Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts or Instagram accounts of many journal articles worldwide, European international law journal articles, and many other commercial law articles. So these sources will make you very updated with what is happening worldwide. Especially if I can give an example for the aspect of international law. It is an evolving law. There's no hard and fast rule about international law. There's no right, there's no wrong. But it's about how you interpret the law and how countries worldwide interpret international law. So you cannot rely just on legal cases or just on legal books. So you have to read the journal articles with a perspective from the scholars. So yes, do read a lot. It is a prerequisite for every law student, for every law practitioners. We have to read. Reading enhances your mind. SKM Semarang. I have to agree with that. So if there's no more question for the audience from my first segment, may I proceed to my second segment of the self-branding part, Amal?
Yes, please do proceed.
Amal, am I going too fast?
No, you're not. It is
Okay.
a perfect pace. Thank you.
Please let me know if I'm going too fast, because yeah, if
Sure. Yes, I will let you know.
All right, can we go to the second part, please?
Yes, of course.
So in conclusion, for the first part, we have dealt with the science, which is the application part on the system, the methodology on how do you equip yourself with self-branding. So if I can summarize the first part, it is about you equipping the skills to yourself first, the confidence, the trust, and how you have to sustain and maintain this personal branding in order to have that self-prospect idea. So on the second segment of out of three. So the second segment of my personal branding get to know each other session today is on the art of self-branding. So why do I brand it as art? Is because it deals with the elements that I've mentioned, which is the communication, reflection, and utilization of the system that you have dealt earlier. You already have all the internal skills. You already have all the confidence. You have the relevant credentials. I participated in mooting competitions. I'm the president of this club A. I am the treasurer for this club B. But how do you apply that? So that comes the second part, which is the art of self-branding, which also will be very beneficial to legal career. Because as I said, my premise is simple. We are all good people, but we can be a better person. We can be a better individuals when we do have this self-branding with these soft skills from time to time. Next slide, please. So also I will divide the notion of the art of self-branding into three, which is the first part is character discovery. The second part is on the marketing and cross-selling, and the third part is on the persuasion skills. So dealing with the first thing is on the character discovery. So my personal experience is that I once decided that I don't want to practice law at all. After throughout the finishing point of my law degree, I was like, that's it. I hate law. I don't want to deal with books anymore. I don't want to read legal cases anymore. I just want to live law. So I noticed why I had that feeling, because I wasn't sure about my character discovery. I wasn't sure about my character standpoint and stance. So that's why learning from my mistake. So what matters is the character building of yourself. So in order to have a stable character building, character development, you have to know what you are good at and what you are not good at. So as simple as that I don't eat curry, but I eat pasta. So those are because of my preferences or my likings. So you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. So in this aspect, you yourself have to determine the do's and the don'ts in your life. So for example, that you really enjoy doing commercial law, you enjoy doing merger and acquisition, all these corporate stuffs, and you don't like doing criminal justice system. So it goes back to your internal controls just now. You don't highlight on your bad results in criminal justice system in your resume, but you instead highlight the plus points of your corporate and commercial achievement. And the don'ts is that you just want to list everything in your resume. You don't want to tell what you've done at your SMR, or just focus on the recent or latest achievements that you have actually attained. So for example, if I can give again my personal experience at workplace, as an example, I found that my strength is that I enjoy merger and acquisition, but I really don't enjoy doing contentious matter. For example, dispute resolution, to deal with case at court of law. So those are the things that I enjoy, but I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy doing merger and acquisition or equity debt financial transactions. So how I brand to my colleagues, to my superiors, is that when there's a project on commercial law, so I'll take lead. So I'm just going to say that this is my strength. So I can do commercial law. But in the event that that particular project requires you to do something concerning your weakness, for example, for my
a question for Auzan. As a final student, why do you finally decide to pursue your career in law?
Ini tuh seminarnya dapat sertifikat enggak sih?
Because as a law student myself, I'm in that dilemma. Maksudnya, I'm in that dilemma.
Okay, this is from Tori.
A question for Auzan. As a final year student, why do you finally decide to pursue your career in law? Because as a law student myself, I'm in that dilemma. Karena sebagai mahasiswa hukum,
Secara pribadi saya merasa bahwa saya dilema.
Diriku ini merasakan dilema.
Okay. I think it's a very good question. So I'll just deal with the question first. So how do I solve my dilemma back then? So there's one thing that we all have to recognize and appreciate. Law degree is very valuable out there. So when you graduate from a law degree program, you don't just you don't have to be a lawyer. There are many other choices. There are paradigm of job opportunities that you can be. With law degree, you can be in-house counsel. You can be attorney of law for the government. You can work for the embassy. Even with the law certificate, a law degree, you can work at human resource division. You can work anywhere you want. So that's the beauty of having a law degree, is that you can work anywhere you want. You can do anything that you want. So how do I escape from the dilemma that I don't want to work in law or legal related career? Do know your role model. Who is your idol? Because who you look up to, who do you linger around, spend time with matters, which is in this context to find your correct colleagues, your correct friends. So I looked up to my partner in crime, a very dedicated person close to me. I straightway told him, hey, I don't like law anymore and I don't want to do law. So he woke me up by saying that, why can't you just finish what you started? You already enrolled yourself in law degree program. Just finish it. Finish the whole ambit the whole journey of obtaining that law certificate, that law degree. And after you graduate, then decide what you want to do. At least you graduate with a law degree. So in response to the earlier question, it does not necessarily mean that when you have a law degree, you have to be a legal practitioner. It is time for us in 2020 to embrace your dream, to pursue any careers that you want in this journey, in your life journey. As long as it makes you happy and you are in good pink health, listen to the voices of your heart, follow your dream, be whatever you want to do. But reiterating what my close partner in crime told me, finish what you started. You are already enrolled in this law degree program, just finish it. So am I clear? Can I continue my points just now?
Mr. Auzan?
Yes?
I would like to inform something to the participants regarding this webinar. May I proceed?
Sure. The floor is yours, Amal.
Okay, to the participants, if you would like to ask some questions to our speakers, please remember that you have to raise your hands first, or maybe you can just excuse yourselves rather than just cut off our speakers' conversations. So please, later, if you're going to ask questions, you can just type it in the chat box, or you can just raise your hands and excuse yourself first before asking. Thank you so much. Mr. Auzan, you can proceed.
All right, thanks, Amal. Thanks for the inventory checklist.
Okay.
So moving on to what I said just now on, I'm just summarizing the character discovery part. Always know your strengths and always know your weaknesses. It does not mean that when you have weaknesses, you cannot use it. Use your weaknesses as your strength. For example, that someone may say that, oh, I cannot work under pressure. Okay, fine. We acknowledge that you cannot work under pressure. But do you ever realize when you do work under pressure, you are more focused, you can do work better, you can deliver products better. So always find solutions, alternative to every problems you have. Do not run away, because this will make you a very faithful, genuine personal branding to yourself, to identify and to know your strengths and also your weaknesses. So it goes to the art of personal branding, your character discovery. You yourself know what's best for you, identify it, talk to people if you need to, because any decision that you make today, do not regret it. It is the best decision that you've made at that particular point of time. But always learn. As I said, do not be afraid of making mistakes, but learn from the mistake and do not make it ever again and be a better person. That's how you become more comprehensive, more acknowledge yourself, your own strengths. So on the next idea of marketing and cross-selling, this art is very crucial. This will differentiate us from being a normal person and a better person. The marketing and cross-selling of personal branding relates back to your character discovery. When you have to use your strength at every opportunities in front of you. For example, in a discussion that might not even be related to you, but you want to give opinion. So that's how you can be recognized. So for example, at my office, there's a very commercial, very business discussion that people are talking to each other. But there's some part that, oh, I can give my opinion. So that's where that we learned earlier on the stages, on the internal controls to have manners. So you can just say, excuse me, if I may add something to your point, Mr. or Miss XXX. So you can just give your opinion. So that is where you showcase your strengths at every opportunities that you have. Because directly and indirectly, people will say, oh, this is a very confident person. He knows how to deliver his standpoint with the correct manners confidently. So this is why marketing cross-selling, to just like cross-sell your strengths, the do's and the don'ts are very important. So it goes back to what Glenn has also mentioned, and I have also mentioned various times. be genuine, be authentic, but always know the boundaries, the do's and the don'ts about yourself. And the last part of the notion of self-branding would be on the persuasion skills. I have to deal with this because this is also lacking in millennials nowadays, the persuasion skills. Because you do know, you have values, you have qualities that you, this president, in that you graduated with cum laude, the first class in everything. But are you persuasive enough to convey to people your point so that they can agree with you and buy your product? So self-branding or our life journey is actually about how you sell yourself. I mean, in terms of your products, in your works, your qualities, your values. So it goes back to whether the strengths that you have, the track record, your works, your results that you can actually sell to people. For example, as I said, I enjoy doing commercial law. So whether I persuade other people that, hey, this is my advice to you. Why don't we do this project like this? Like A, like B, like C, and we attach to a potential JV partner like this, joint venture partner like this. So the idea of persuading other people to agree with you is an art of self-branding itself. Persuasion skills is not gifted, you don't born with it, but it is one thing that when you have the confidence, when you have your character discovery, and you can cross-sell your products, so that's where you can be very persuasive. And also to be persuasive goes that way to whether you can actually dominate or be presently visible in every discussion. Two things. First, always have a healthy discussion. Do not be emotional, do not be aggressive, always be healthy with manners. If you disagree with other people, still maintain your composure. I beg to differ, Miss XSX. If I may disagree with you, and don't fight. So this is where you showcase your consent, showcase your qualities from time to time. And if I may summarize the notion of self-branding itself on the self-prospectus, it's about making your presence visible, accepted, and perceived. Because remember, recognition does not come from other people first. You yourself have to recognize what you can do, what you can offer, what are the products that you can sell to people, your strengths, your do's, your qualities, your values. And also a very interesting part that Glenn mentioned, to create the reliability, the reliance, the dependency, so that people know that, hey, this particular guy can actually advise us on something. Trust me, everyone, you want to be one person like that. So this is why the idea of self-branding starts from your resume, during your working journey during your legal career, as well as sustaining it, persuading people to believe in you, to have faith in you, and to create impact, of course, on your presence in every discussion, in every working environment. So that concludes my second segment today. And if I may just proceed to my last segment of self-branding. Next slide, please, Amal.
Oh, yes, you may proceed.
Yeah. Can we go to the next slide, which is, I think it happens to be my last slide, right? No, second last slide. So the last part of my session today is on embracing the keys to legal career. I think on the first part, we've talked about the science, the self-prospect that you have to embody first. And the second part, we spoke about the notion of art of self-branding, which is the external controls, the communication skills, the recognition that you have to embody as well in order to have part 3, which is the keys to legal career itself via the elements of self-branding. Next slide, please. So in short, everyone here today, how I can summarize my session today is into 2. self-prospect and self-prospective. Prospectus. So basically the first one, self-prospect, is about understanding yourself, what you can offer, what you can do, and what is your strength. So it is more on the conceptual approach of yourself, on how do you plan to present yourself to your future workplace, to future colleagues and environment. So this is where there are a few pointers. First one, you have to understand and acknowledge your values and qualities. Number two, have a good or a strong support system. Do know who you should look up to. Always choose the correct peer, everyone. And lastly is on the, as I said, the conceptual approach to know yourself. There are only two actually, not three. And the second part of the notions of self-branding is self-prospectus. Why do I say self-prospectus is that you yourself is an investment. So when you already acknowledge and identify the values in yourself, so you want to sell the values to other people. And this is where you can excel wherever you are. And this is where you can differentiate yourself between being just an ordinary good person or you want to be someone better than the ordinary person. So it goes on, do facilitate others, be helpful, do not be selfish, and always, this is what I always practice, always self-reflects. It does not mean you are always right. Whenever someone pinpoints to you, hey, Auzan, you have done something wrong, acknowledge that, listen first, do not defend yourself immediately. Do listen to other people and always do have a self-reflect from time to time, because self-prospectus, as I said, is a living evidence of impact on how you perceive, persuade, and deal with other people, to be accepted by other people, to be recognized by other people. But remember, to be recognized and accepted by other people will mean nothing if you yourself do not accept and recognize your strength, your values, and yourself. So in short, if I may summarize, what is self-branding? Why is there science, art, there's self-prospect, there's self-prospectus? I would like to summarize in 3 pointers. The first one, identifying your true self, know your boundaries, and also to shine based on the qualities and values you have. Second, do remember, self-branding is not the only reason you can be different and excel out there. Self-branding is only supplemental to who you really are, to how you position yourself among the crowds, millions of people. And lastly, in response to Amal's very first and interesting question, is self-branding related to, am I enough? Am I good enough? Remember, and please know this, we are all good enough. We are all enough. We are all good people. But self-branding, the correct way to brand yourself, to have a very good personal branding, will make you a better person. So you'll be better enough than other people. So I think that's all that I plan to share with everyone here today. So if everyone have any other inquiries, questions after this, aside than Q&A that we are going to have after this, I have my emails there, my official email. I have my, oh, that's my phone number. So if you have any questions, I'm reachable via WhatsApp. Do not call me. I don't entertain calls often. But I do have my Facebook account, Instagram account, and LinkedIn account, Auzan Shadi. So I'll be more than glad to attend any legal career related question from time to time. Because you guys, millennials, the Gen Ys, the Gen Zs are very promising. You guys are the future of this world, the future leaders in this world. So I think, Amal, I shall pass the floor back to you. Thank you so much.
Very well, thank you so much, Mr. Auzan, for the amazing explanation. And I have to admit that the things that you have shared with us today is really meaningful and helpful. And of course, it gives us so many benefits. But before I continue to the next session, I would like to briefly give conclusions about what have just been explained by Mr. Auzan. Firstly, Mr. Auzan stated that we have to be always to be ourselves, but by being ourselves doesn't mean that we can just apply for jobs being unprepared. So of course we have to be prepared, and there are so much things that we have to prepare, such as resume and then appearance, of course, and so many things. And then he stated also that we have to have the ability to converse with so many people, such as so it means that we have to own the keys to communicate with people. And then don't forget to leave good impressions, because of course we do not want to be remembered by someone for some bad reasons. And then he also told us that we should not be afraid to make mistakes, because we can always learn from the mistakes and be better in the future. And he also shared with us that there are two keys in self-branding. The first one is self-respect. Self-respect, it comes from within oneself in a form of readiness and foundation, so that these two things can promise oneself that they can always improve to be better. And then the second key is self-perspectus. Self-perspectus is to create impact on your present, and that will result on the acceptance and recognition from the environment that you are in. All right. Once again, I would like to thank for both of the speakers for the amazing explanations and the helpful information for us. All right, so let me continue to our next session, that is, well, but before I move on, I think that all of you here, maybe everyone is kind of sleepy, because in my place it is actually raining really hard. So yeah, it is actually a good time to sleep, but because I'm really excited in this webinar, so I think that you guys should too. So if you guys are bored and sleepy, and now I think it is the right time for us to cheer up a little bit. So I want everyone here to turn on your camera, because we're going to take a picture together before everyone leaves this room, because they think that this webinar is over, but we still have Q&A session after this. So I will give you 2 minutes to get ready. Look nice so that the picture will be taken nicely too. After the 2 minutes over, please turn on your camera. Wow, I think everyone is really excited for this event, because even before I told everyone to turn on their camera, you guys have already have your camera turned on. So let's just wait for a little bit so that the other participants who haven't turned on their camera yet can get prepared and turn on their camera. Diharapkan bagi seluruh peserta yang belum menghidupkan kameranya, boleh untuk menghidupkan kameranya, karena kita akan mengambil foto bersama untuk dokumentasi. Oh, and the link to the feedback form and also the presence form will be shared by us later in the WhatsApp group. But after this webinar is over, so please just wait until this webinar is over. All right, maybe 2 minutes is over. So I think just smile to the camera and I will count to 3. And the committees who is obliged to take the picture can take the pictures in the count to 3. Okay, Miss Glory or Mr. Jordi, are you ready?
Yes, please.
Okay, now in the third count, please smile to the camera and do not move because I think because of the connection, internet connection of everyone can be different. So I think it will take a little while to take a good picture. In 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for your participations and thank you so much for staying with us until the end. I hope you guys find this webinar interesting and helpful as much as I do. Well, moving on to the next session, that is Q&A session. I am so honored to see that there are so many questions from the participants here. So, but because the time is limited, I have to read only some of your questions. I am so sorry, but I hope that the questions that the committees pick can represent all of your questions here. All right. So I will read the first question. The first question is, this is from Mr. Chandra. He is asking to both speakers, to Mr. Glenn and Mr. Auzan. For example, there are brand names such as Kijang and Chiki and etc. How did you first become a lawyer in a specific service of law? For example, for Glenn, specifies in fintech and cyber data. How did you find a career in that specific area?
Okay. So really, usually when you become a lawyer, usually you're not the first person to come up with that topic, not the original creator, unless you're the lawmaker or you're an academic. But if you're a practicing lawyer, when you have a brand, doesn't mean that you're the first one to actually focus on those areas. But then here, what I mean by have a personal brand on some areas, meaning that just like a doctor or a teacher, you specialize on something, people will look up lawyers for certain areas of law. So, for example, when people think of personal data protection, they will think of, okay, in Indonesia, who are the best lawyers in this area? And then people will start searching. And when your name doesn't come up on LinkedIn or Google search, when you haven't written anything on that topic or you haven't given any presentation on that topic, yeah, who would know that you're specializing on that topic? So, and also by specializing on certain topics, not becoming a generalist, you're more well known, easily compared if you say that okay, I can handle any kinds of cases, I can handle anything. You're a general practitioner. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to become a generalist, but then if you have personal brand, when people mention Glenn, okay, people will think of, okay, Glenn is a blah 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 lawyer, right? I hope that really illustrates my point. I think that's all. Maybe Auzan can add something to that.
I think I more or less agree with what Glenn has just said. I think brand name is just a brand. It does matter if it is really unique or different. But if there are other people who also bear the same name with you or with your brand name, I think it won't matter as much. Because I think what people will more appreciate is that the values and the qualities that you have that actually differentiate you from other people. So hence the self-branding is on you to know yourself. Yeah, that's all I'm on.
All right, Mr. Chandra, who asked this question, are you satisfied or is there anything that you would like to add or ask more? Okay, I guess not. So let's just proceed to the second question. The second question is from Merari Zahra. For Mr. Auzan, when you were in job seeking, did you find having a public international law background a challenge to compete with other fresh graduate with more practical law focus or corporate and business law, private international law, etc.? How did you start your current career? And also, did you get to practice the law you enjoy learning?
A very interesting question. Yes, actually, you don't get to actually reflect or apply directly on the idea of international law in legal career, because I think it's very limited. Like you have to work at United Nations or those kind of organizations. But it surely give you the advantage is that you know something that the other candidates don't know. So this is also how you create conversation, like I say, on the communication. You don't just talk about work. You can also talk about the global things happening around the world. So it makes a interview session to be more fun. So indirectly responding to the question whether it is hard to find legal career if you have an international law background or degree background, it won't be that hard, but it's about how you can use what you've learned in the program in applying for a work. For example, I'm not sure about in Indonesia, but in Malaysia, the stigma is that people tend to not hire fresh grad because you don't have enough experience. But how do these fresh graduates gain experience if they're not given the chance to actually learn first? So those are the stigma that we young people should change from now. You can be graduates in anything, but as long as you have the determination to learn in doing something, and you have good attitude, you have good soft skills, I don't see any difference or any obstacle to that. If I may share as well, one of my team members in my group, legal compliance and risk management, one of us does not have any law degree or have any legal background. So he's from international business and marketing, but because of the good attitude, the essence, the determination that he wants to learn about doing compliance and risk management, and he has all the values and the qualities, it's more than just a particular degree. So it's about your self-branding as well. This is where self-branding matters. It's about how you converse to people, how you persuade people that without this particular degree, I can also do whatever other people can do. So that will be my more or less response to such question. Interesting question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Auzan. Is there anything who is it? From Miss Mirari, is there anything you would like to add?
Yes, if it's possible with the time, I would love to ask one more question
Yes,
to Mr. Glenn and also to Mr. Auzan. Thank you so much for your answer before. But regarding to what Mr. Glenn have said before, you mentioned that if we have the experience of becoming speakers in webinars or seminars, you said it should be something that we see as our strength. I myself I'm pretty lucky to have some experiences becoming a speaker in webinars and seminars, but when it comes to self-branding and building my CV, I find it confusing whether it is something that is relevant that I should put on my CV, because just like what Mr. Auzan also mentioned before, you need to put things that are only relevant to things that you are aiming for. So do you have any advice on that? Thank you.
So who's speaking?
Glenn, you want to respond first?
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll respond first. So if you're participating in a webinar as a moderator in a topic other than law, for example, you can really mention that as a supplement in your CV, stating that it demonstrates your skill as an excellent speaker, excellent moderator, you need to have excellent speaking skills and communication skills, and you need to have a certain determination or knowledge on a certain topic. Although it's not law, but then it's a transferable skill that will be highly valued by your employer. But if you're speaking a webinar that is on law, and particularly corporate law or any law that you're interested in, and you're applying to a certain law firm specializing in certain topics that you're a moderator of, then it's obviously very good. But if the topic does not really relate to law, then you can say to during the interview that, okay, I'm very used to moderating these kinds of webinars, although it's not about law, but I have good communication skill, blah blah blah. So that's what I would say. What I would answer. Thank you.
Actually, more or less what I plan to say is very similar to what Glenn said. If I may add one thing, to have a good and healthy communication skills is very important, because that's how you excel and showcase who you really are in a discussion. For example, in an interview, do remember it is not the other party really wanting to know you. I mean, no, it is the other party really want to know you. So it goes to whether how you carry yourself, how you create conversation, how you engage with their questions. And if they ask, for example, a very typical and popular question, Miss Mira, for example, do you have any questions to us? So that is the moment that you have to be prepared. You have to do your study on what you plan to ask. So it can be, the range can be from company or legal firm related questions, or it can be as simple as, what do you think about the current humanitarian crisis in the Middle East? So these are the points that can actually makes you different than other people, that other candidates won't be asking those kind of questions, but you will be the first or among few who ask out of law firms or company related questions. But do ask something relevant. Don't ask, oh, what is your favorite food? What sports do you like to play? I think that's not the correct quorum, but do ask something that will show who you really are, your interest, for example. Let's say, for example, you are very keen, you are very passionate in human rights advocacy, do ask, Mr. Glenn, what is your opinion or your perspective in the human rights crisis in the States? It can be as simple as that, the conversation, the discussion point. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no more to add, I would like to proceed to the third question. The third question is from Muhammad Calejon. He's a Spanish. He asked that, until now, I cannot do my best to be better. Do you have any advice for someone like me to be a better law student? Because I feel like I want to be a lawyer, but I don't know how to make it happen. I think that he may need some encouragement for our two speakers, but I would like to say that for the speakers, can you please keep it simple and short, because we're actually almost running out of time. Thank you.
Okay, so the crux of the question is really how to improve ourselves every day, and how to become a better lawyer, a better law student. I think we need to set a goal. We need to know what we'll do in 10, 20 years time. Although it's very unlikely to know what you'll become. But then if you have a vision and you have a mission, then nothing is impossible. And please have a role model. It's much easier if you know that you can have a template of someone's career. But then again, please do not use this template to define yourself, because after all, it's a personal brand. That's all for me.
I once again agree with Glenn. Encouragement has to come from you yourself, because only you yourself know what's best for you, what do you enjoy doing, what you like doing. But again, as I said, I was there once. I was there in the position that I wasn't sure whether this career or this degree is for myself. But my life principle is very simple. Do finish what I started, And then when I have that particular thing, then I'll decide what kind of dreams that I want to pursue, what kind of opportunity I really want to endeavor into. So the best encouragement that I can give is that do know your strength, do know your weakness as well. Because out of all courses, all programs in law degree, there must be one particular subject that you are passionate in. So it can't be that you hate everything. So find that, follow the voices into that particular course or subject. You'll be fine. You will be fine. The fact that you are enrolled in law degree program at any universities that you are currently doing, you are already good enough. You can be better for sure. That's all. Amal, I think you muted yourself, so we cannot hear you.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, let me repeat myself. Thank you so much to both Mr. Glenn, Mr. Auzan for the encouragement, and to Mr. Muhammad Kalejon. Please trust yourself and please always believe that as long as you want to do it, you can achieve it. So don't look down on yourself. So I will give the last question to both the speakers because our time has almost elapsed. This question is from Rahmaditya M. Putra. Hello, Mr. Auzan and Mr. Glenn Wijaya. Good afternoon. My name is Rahmaditya M. Putra, hereby known as Adit. I am a final year law student from Universitas Pajajaran. I would like to ask a question for both speakers. I have a huge interest in World Trade Organization law, IPR and FDI transportation, and natural resources law. In spite of this, I put a strong emphasis on World Trade Organization law as my main interest. On contrast, I have researched several law firms, but the preference of WTO practice is not as much as other practice areas, such as but not limited to FDI, family law, or criminal law. Therefore, my question is it better to put my interest in WTO law as my priority since it is my huge interest, or I should learn other areas that it also my interest but not as huge as WTO, seeing the practice of WTO law in Indonesia is not as huge as in Europe or North America. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll start answering the question. I think what he has undergone is similar like my experience. When I graduated from Groningen, I was endowed with more knowledge on international law, public international law, rather than corporate law or even Indonesian law, because that was a very international law-focused degree. That's why I returned to school, to law school, to get an Indonesian law degree to specialize in corporate law. But then again, I believe that the more the more you know about more stuff, it's good. Doesn't mean that if you now only know or specialize in WTO law, doesn't mean you can't really learn anything else. Because I'm sure that many lawyers will say this. Once you start working, you'll be given assignments and tasks that require you to research on certain areas of law. So back again, it's the transferable skill, the research skill, the hunger for knowledge that you can apply when you work in a law firm that will separate you from the rest, and that your initial interest in WTO law or any other field of law that is not currently relevant to the law firm that you're applying to, for example, doesn't mean that you should leave altogether WTO law. But then probably you can channel that to your organization, or you can start a discussion, a webinar on that topic, or one day you'll be moving from a law firm to a specialized government institution dealing with WTO law, or any other, or even the WTO itself. But my point is, do not leave WTO altogether. But then it's okay. I'll be pragmatic here. You need to, if you're certain that you're going to apply to a law firm, a corporate law firm in Jakarta, typically you need to have on good knowledge on FDI, on the corporate law, the Undang-Undang 40 2007, and KUHP Perdata, the Civil Code. These kinds of things you need to know. I mean, otherwise you won't be accepted or have a little chance to be accepted as an associate. So I was once in your position. I was very interested in public international law, not very much on private law in Indonesia. But then after I moved to practice of law, and when you work in certain law firms, you'll be directed to certain areas of law. That's the practice areas of that firm. You have no choice but to learn, unlearn, relearn, and relearn something. So yeah, the point is to keep learning. Learning is never ending. Maybe this year you'll focus on WTO law, but once you work, maybe you'll become master of private law or criminal law, depending on the firm that you're working for or company. So just keep learning. That's all for me.
I agree with Glenn. I'll just add a little bit. I enjoyed international trade and finance before as well during my studies, but it is just a part or an ambit of law that you can learn from time to time. So don't restrict or impede yourself that because you like a certain particular law, those are the areas of law that you have to practice. It is wider in reality. For example, you can do corporate contracts as simple as merger and acquisition or equity deals. Let's say that you enter a particular legal firm or company that deal with this kind of matter, corporate matter, transactional. The idea that you already learn or have foundation in WTO and international trade will be advantageous to you because you will manage to advise your clients or your company, hey, we are dealing with other countries. So this is where the idea of WTO or ITF come in. So do not keep learning, but do not impede that, oh, because I like this, there's no firm that offer me WTO or ITF in specific, that you cannot join those firms or companies. But remember, as long as you know contracts, the foundation is there. So it is about the learning curve or the opportunities the firms and the companies have in dealings with their counterparts. The time will come, inshallah. Just wait and see. Be patient. Over to you, Amal.
Okay, thank you so much to both Mr. Glenn and Mr. Auzan for the amazing answers to all of the questions. Although I see that there are still so many questions given to us, but I have to say that unfortunately we have to cut this Q&A session until here because the time has elapsed and some of the participants has already left too. It has been 3 hours we spent together today. I feel like we're becoming a little closer. All right, it has been really fun with you guys. And I hope that this webinar can be helpful and be memorable to everyone here because personally, I find this webinar as my first experience becoming a moderator is really amazing. So I would like to say thank you and I feel really honored to be with you guys today. Before I close this event, I would like to give a really brief conclusion about what we have shared today with our speakers. The first one is that there are so many ways that we can do self-branding, such as joining different organizations, also joining different competitions, and also do not forget to keep up the good marks in our classes because it is also important. Also, you have to at least try to do job internships. And also, both of our speakers told us to be confident in ourselves and also to be prepared in what are we going to apply for in the future. And don't forget that we have to always leave good impressions to everyone, but do not afraid to make mistakes because only from mistakes that we can learn to be better in the future. All right, I feel really sorry because of the YouTube viewers cannot participate in this webinar as much as we do. They could not ask questions because time is limited. Hope you guys enjoyed. But I would like to share something with you guys today. I read something really motivational to me this morning on my Instagram. If I'm not mistaken, it was words from Mary Kay Ash, I forgot. But she said that don't ever limit yourself because many people limit themselves to only what they think they can do. But we can always go as far as what our mind tells us. So do not ever stop dreaming and do not ever stop believing. Please just trust yourself and everything will just go well. Yes, I believe that. So I think it is time for me to end this event. I'm really sad because it is so much fun. I would like to say thank you for all the participants who have joined us today, and also for both speakers who have shared with us their amazing experiences and also their helpful tips and information. We really appreciate the both of them. And also I would like to say sorry if there are some of my words or actions that may offend you in some kind of way that I do not realize. I am really sorry. And also I sincerely hope that we all can meet each other again of course, in a better opportunity. Well, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The Google form about the attendees will be sent by us through our WhatsApp groups. You have to fill it in case you want to get your certificates before 5 p.m. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining with us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I love you too. Thank you. Yes, you may leave now.
Oke, thank you Amalia. Thank you Thank you
Yes.
udah jadi moderator yang baik.
Ya,
Keren.
makasih banyak ya Kak Glenn.
Thank you. Thank you untuk semua anggota ILSA dan dari segenap fakultas Brawijaya. Fakultas Brawijaya. Thank you banget.
Makasih
Kalau
banyak
ada
Kak
kesempatan
Glenn.
lain kita akan ya collab lagi atau mungkin
Let's meet in Indonesia one day, please. I'll go there. I'll go there when everything is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, Amal. Really good job. And thanks everyone for attending as well.
Thank you.
And thanks for the
Makasih
organizer.
banyak Kak Glenn. Thank you so much Kak Uzan.
Cheers, guys.
Yes. See you, Auzan.
See you.
Thank you, Faisal juga yang udah direpotin.
Thank you,
selama ini.
Mr. Glenn and Mr. Al.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. See you in another occasion. Okay, bye-bye.
Sure, bye.
Okay.
Udah ya Kak, ini aku keluar ya.
Ya.
Oke. Makasih banyak
Thank
semuanya.
you.
Makasih banyak.
Thank you semuanya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
banget.
everyone.
Have a great day.
Mantap, Jar.
Thank you Kak Hafiz.
Mantap semuanya, mantap.
Makasih kakak yang udah bantuin, yang udah ikutan join. Makasih.
Thank you Bang Niko.
Thank you too much.
Ngapain Bang Niko?
Iya. Thank you ada Mama.
Thank you eksternal.
Eksternal.
Everyone may leave. Thank you so much buat hari ini.
Thank you Mama.
Emak.
Ya, tadi ada ibu di pasar tadi. Ini udah keluar ya?
Ya, silakan
boleh,
keluar
Bang.
semuanya.
Yes.
Udah selesai, nanti kita kirim semuanya for the Google Form. We will send you guys di grup WhatsApp ya. Makasih.
Ya, makasih semuanya.
Mau ah. Masih di sini.
Hah? Iya. Gak tahu deh.
Udah keluar belum?
Banyak yang baru mau join lagi.
Join lah.
Jadi live-nya belum selesai, tolong langsung live aja semuanya biar bisa diakhiri.
Oh.
Live-nya juga, terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama.
Thank you eksternal.
Thank you, Wei. Thank you semuanya yang udah hadir.
Oke.
Terima kasih juga Pak Imron.
Makasih Pak Imron.
Makasih Pak Imron buat ini.
Terima kasih Pak.
Sholat.